break though. Yeah. Hey, it's the goddamn podcast, bro. What up, Jason?
This is Jason Hughes, and welcome to the goddamn podcast.
Hey, you like to drink a little beer and then sip on some liquor? Open up your ears and then come and chill with us. Have a conversation trying to paint you a picture. Everybody see it, we gon' talk about these issues. Throw in your 2 cents and come up with a nickel. We be talking cash shit if we ain't, how you figure? The goddamn podcast satisfied like a snicker. Now come and get a taste and stick your tongue out like a lizard. Welcome to the goddamn podcast, man.
You're now listening to the Goddamn Podcast. Here's your host, Jason Hughes.
For those of you that live in Nashville, goddamn, it's hot than a motherfucker. Man, it's so hot today. Hey, the devil knocked on my door asking for some tap water. All right, so we got an important topic for you guys today. But before we get into this topic, you guys, I have a couple of guests in the building. Please introduce yourselves.
It's Naughty Natasha.
We got Naughty Natasha in the house.
Hey y'all, Rox is back again.
And we got Rox in the house. All right. So we have an important topic for you today, and it's going to get serious, y'all. All right. So here is the scenario, because I know this has happened to a lot of you in this room and those that are listening to this episode. You've been dating someone for about a month. You go over to your boyfriend, girlfriend's house. You all eat. The drinks are flowing. You all are laughing. You know, just having a great time with each other. Both of you decide to watch a movie. The lights are turned off. The movie is turned on, and you all are cuddled tightly on the couch, enjoying each other's company. Is this giving y'all goosebumps?
Yeah, he's setting the mood over here.
As you all watch the movie, there is a lot of touching going on. I didn't say groping. I said touching. It starts getting hot and heavy on the couch. Then you all start kissing. Not just any kiss. You all have your tongue down each other's throat.
You're now listening to the Goddamn Podcast.
Wrong
Here's your
button.
host, Jason Hughes.
In the back of your mind, you are thinking, it's going down tonight. Then you start groping your partner. You see where I went there? Which makes it get hot and heavy on the couch. It's so hot and heavy. By this time, you are both trying to remove each other's clothing. All of a sudden, your partner says, "Stop." Confused, you ask, why? And they say they don't want to have sex until they get married. So on today's podcast, we are talking about premarital sex. Is this a deal breaker? Okay. So the first question we're going to dive into is, if your partner couldn't have sex due to their religion, would that turn you off? I'm going to answer this first because one of my exes, her religion didn't call for her to have sex before marriage. Now, I'm not going to say we didn't have sex, but she felt guilty afterwards. She really felt guilty. And so it got to the point where if things got hot and heavy, I would kind of let her take the lead. If she wants to do something, then we'll do it. If she don't want to do something, then we don't want to do it. But a lot of people are not as understanding as I am. Some people may say, you know what, fuck it, I'm leaving. Yeah, so at least that's from a male perspective. Let's see what my female guests have to say about this. So let's say you guys met a male and due to their religion, they don't want to have sex until they marry. Is that a deal breaker?
Not necessarily for me. I mean, if I really care about this guy, I'll respect his wishes. I may try to influence him, but if he really feels strongly about it, I'm going to respect his wishes.
Right.
I agree. There's that whole respect piece of it, and I would try to respect his wishes, but sometimes there's that urge and that need, so you might try to peer pressure, so to speak. But it comes down to it. If that's something that he is adamant that's not going to happen, then it's not going to happen. And if and you kind of almost don't know until you get in that situation if it's one of those that, okay, I'm going to respect it, and we'll see where this goes, and if it leads to marriage, then we'll have sex. Or it may be one of those where you're like, yeah, I've been doing this for 5-6 months, and I need to be out because I can't wait any longer thing.
Right. Okay. I guess my thing is, even though I've done it, I know that, but y'all, as I always do on my podcast, I have to play devil's advocate. Okay. So my thing is, and please, anybody listening to this podcast or people in this room, do not get mad when I say this, but I'm always a try it before you buy it person. So like when I go out and buy a car, I have to test drive it. If it is smooth and it handles good, then I'm going to buy the damn car. I'm like that. Oh, I hate to say this, but I'm like that when it comes to my relationships. I got to try the sex, and if it ain't good, then I'm going to the next dealer. So instead of trying this person out that's a Kia, tomorrow I'm going to Nissan. Now I know that's a fucked up analogy.
What if Nissan's not any good? You're going to go find your
so next I'm going to Mercedes.
Okay. No, I get where you're coming from. And actually, before I came up here, I was talking to a friend of mine on the phone, and her opinion, she's like, this is my opinion. She's like, yes, sex before marriage, because you got to know if they're good or not. If they're not good, you sure as hell don't want them for a lifetime.
Right.
And so, but Jason, maybe they're nervous. How many chances are you going to give is my question. Is it 1, 2, second time you're like, nope, I need to go down the road to Mercedes?
Oh, you know what? That's a good question. I think I would at least give them 3. 3 strikes you're out, just like in baseball.
Okay. What if there's the possibility you think after that third time that you could maybe teach them a thing or two? Are you going to still continue to try? I have questions.
Well, see, that was going to be my third question. Okay. But because you brought it up, let's say I meet somebody, they've never been married and they're a virgin. So of course, when we first have sex, once we get married, it's probably not going to be all that. I'm into teaching. It just depends on how good they pick up. Because not everyone are good learners. It's just like, every teacher has a bad student. They got good students. I want that straight A honor roll student. The
one that goes above and beyond.
Yes. Yeah, so so I'm not against it, but I look at it from the standpoint, if you've been married multiple times and then we get married and your sex is still garbage, then there's something wrong.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you got divorced.
Yeah, it's definitely that person then.
Right. Because now I hate to say this because I love her to death. Halle Berry. Everybody, I don't know how true this is, but people were saying on the internet the reason why Halle Berry been married so many times and divorced is because her sex is garbage. I don't believe it, and I hope it's not true, but Halle Berry, call me if you're listening to the goddamn podcast. But anyway, but yeah, going back to the try it before you buy it. I mean, do y'all agree with that scenario?
Yeah, I really do agree with it. Because, like you said, you got to know, because I really don't want to get into it and then think like, holy hell, I have to spend a lifetime with this person and the sex sucks. So no, I need to know.
Right.
I agree. I also need to know. And if it's not good the first or second time, I am willing to teach. I have been taught and I have improved. So like you said, anybody who wants to be an A student will be willing to learn. And now sex is awesome. Right.
Right. And I think everybody can be, taught, how you want to be pleased or whatever.
You might go from that Kia to that Mercedes once you teach.
Right. Yeah. She might move up from a Kia Sorento to a Mercedes Benz. Okay. So what about this? And this question's not even on my list because now all this is just coming off the hip. Let's say, okay, I already touched on, okay, she's been married a couple of times. Okay, let's say if her being married a couple of times, the sex is still garbage. Would you still try to teach her, or do you think she can't be teachable because she's been married that many times? Because you would think that somebody would have taught her that by now.
Yeah, but maybe the teacher wasn't any good.
That's true.
So I guess I would give her a chance, 3 strikes you're out. But yeah, I guess anybody is teachable if they want to learn. So if they care enough to be in that relationship, they're going to be willing to learn. And it can work out to the benefit of both of you. It can be awesome.
I agree with that. And that is a good point because, that first marriage may have been some young, dumb thing. That second one may have been a rebound and they realized, it wasn't that great anyway, kind of thing. So who knows? Give them a chance. But yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with the 3 strikes you're out rule.
Now,
that's going to be my new thing, I think.
Right. Yeah. 3 strikes you're out rule. So anybody listening to this podcast, you only got 3 strikes with us. Now I lost what I was gonna ask y'all on this next question because this one was coming off the hook. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I told y'all about my experience. Have any of you ever experienced that? Where, for whatever reason, where it was religious reasons, just, maybe your partner's reason that he didn't want to have sex until marriage.
I've not experienced that. The guy I'm with right now, once in a while he'll say, well, we can't have sex. We're not married. And I'll be like, what do you think we've been doing?
God
Give me
damn.
a break. And he'd be like, but it's sin. We're not married yet. And I'm like, well, we've already sinned, so we can just keep doing it.
Right. Yeah. God damn.
That's true. Once you start, you might as well just keep. I mean, go to confession, confess your sins. God's going to forgive you. So.
God damn.
No, I haven't ever experienced that, but on that side, but I feel like on the flip side of things, I've not so much been like, oh, not until we're married. But I think that there's been one time for sure that I can think of that I've been like, let's wait. And I think because it was in the back of my head, I was like, I don't think this is going to be any good, so I don't want to do it just yet.
Right. Oh, okay. Here's another thought. Some people think by dating people like this, then that means their quote unquote body count is not high. Because believe it or not, some people won't date other people that's got a high body count. What I mean by body, y'all know what I mean by body count? Yeah, people you slept with. Yeah, so because this person wants to wait till marriage, they're like, okay, well, she's probably only been with maybe 4 or 5 people in her lifetime. And so that does make that person enticing. So what y'all think about that?
I'm in a relationship with a admittedly slut.
God damn.
Yeah, I've known him for over 20 years, and he has been with a wide variety of people in the 2 towns that we, live in, Twin Cities. And so, but he is a good person. So I can forget all the other bitches in the past because he is such a good and kind person. And he is faithful to me. We are in a committed relationship. It's, he's in a different state. I'm here, but we talk every day. We text every day. We have FaceTime. When I went up north, I saw him and spent a few days with him. We're in a committed relationship, but he admittedly is a slut.
Golly, hey, he a better man than I am.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting to move the mic. I don't really think body count either way should have anything to do with it. Because even if that person's been with 3 people, you might be number 4 and it may be the best sex you've ever had. You just don't know. Because they had, learned things from the other few from the others. Yep. And then of course, somebody with a high body count may still, suck at sex and they're still trying to figure things out. I don't know. But body count shouldn't matter anyway, though. It really shouldn't. But Jason, I'm just going to throw things back at you today.
Hey, now, that's another podcast. We doing a podcast on body counts.
No, it's too late because I'm about to make a comment.
So here we go.
We can have
okay,
podcast
be careful
later,
now.
I'm about to make a comment anyway. That is, I want to know because I feel like men are more likely to look at women as a slut or a hoe if they have a high body count versus the other way around. It's okay for men to do it. But why is it if a guy has slept with 15 people, it's fine and dandy. But if a woman says she slept with 15, they're like, oh my God, you're a whore. Why is that?
You know what? That's a great question. For those of y'all listening to the podcast, y'all gotta forgive me. She just threw a curveball and I'm still trying to swing at it. That's a good question. Yeah.
Sounds like Jason don't want to answer this.
I don't want to speak for all men, but oh boy. Oh, that's a good one. I'm over here sweating bullets. Okay, this is what I'm gonna say, at least from my perspective, because what's making me nervous is I don't want to speak for all the fellas out there. At least for me, if a lady asked me, because I've had some women ask me, how many people have you slept with? I have had some women ask me that. And I'll be honest and I tell them. Now, if they want to consider me a hoe, or a slut or a player, whatever, then that's on them. Some people, some girls would be like, oh, that ain't shit. And I'm kind of the same way. But the thing about it is I've never asked a woman what her body count was. To me, that's more insulting than asking a woman how old she is. So now if it comes up in conversation, or if we playing like some kind of sex game and the question is, how many people have you slept with? Then that's one thing, but that's not something that, we're going to be talking about. Hey, did you watch Temptation Island last night? That was a good episode. By the way, how many people have you slept with? That's not nothing that's going to come out of my mouth. But regardless of how many people she said she slept with, I'm not going to judge her because I don't know what she was going through during that time. Some people, believe it or not, they go through depression issues. They feel like sex is a way for them to feel love, and then all of a sudden they get used, and they just bouncing from dude to dude to dude, and it's sad. So I'm not gonna judge them for that. And as long as they don't judge me, for what I've done, because if they gonna judge me, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna judge them too. But no, I've never been the person to judge somebody because of their high or low body count, because low body counts get judged too. Be like, damn, you mean to tell me you only been with 3 people? So yeah, but just like I said, this is a disclaimer. I'm not speaking for all men. I'm only speaking for Jason Christopher Hughes. And I support this announcement. Since we in the politics.
I appreciate your answer. We will have to get some of your fellas though, because I really want to know their opinion too.
Oh Lord have mercy. No, you don't.
No, there's one opinion I don't want to know because that was a big mistake last time around. No podcasts and shots when Wood is around. If y'all missed the last 2, that explains it all.
Right. Y'all listen to the last 2 podcasts because it got heated between the men and the women. Yeah, but yeah, body counts. Yeah, it don't matter to me. All right. So what I'm about to do now, because at least I think we got time. Oh yeah, we got about 7 minutes. I'm about to play a video that I found online, and here's a lady. She is. She went through the same struggles as kind of the person, I was dating at the time. And so after I heard it, I'm like, well, damn, I can kind of get it now. But I think this will help out a lot of people who is dating somebody that's, religious and don't want to go the extra mile, or do want to go the extra mile. Okay, so let's listen to what this lady got to say. So here we go.
I never thought that I would be sharing this on the internet, but we're going to talk about premarital sex as a Christian. So I will be honest, I did not wait until marriage to have sex, even though I wanted to, and that was my plan. That just did not happen for me. And for the longest time, it took me months to even remotely forgive myself for doing that, because I knew the plans that I had for myself. but let me just talk to somebody out there that feels the same way, okay? You're not alone, and God does forgive you. He is not mad at you for doing that. Even though, like, that's not his plan or his will, you can still always go to him and he will forgive you. But the most important thing is that you gotta forgive yourself. And this world is so big now on just premarital sex, like all this stuff. And like, I get, like, I'm not pushing to not do it to anyone. But I will just say this, okay? Premarital sex ruins you. I was so depressed and I didn't know why until after the fact. And it was because I knew what I was doing and I was not happy with myself or just with doing that. You know, like, I just wasn't happy. I didn't feel right. I knew that it was meant for marriage and I was disobeying God. But it does ruin you as a person. It creates a soul tie. That's why God made that for two people to do for the rest of their lives and not to test drive before you buy it, right? So yeah. And like, I don't regret it because I've grown obviously from that and I don't hold on to that anymore. But it did affect me a lot as a person and I just like wasn't myself. Like, I feel like I was just so like dead to the world after doing that and like feeling that guilt all the time. But as a Christian, like, it does like tear on your heart a lot because knowing like you're not with that person and you did that and they saw you like that, like, it's just kind of weird. But I mean, it really does affect you. And if you think you're gonna marry someone and like that's your like reasoning, like, just be very careful because that's not always the case, okay? Like, I had that reasoning as well at one point and like whenever like things moved on, like that wasn't the case, and so it was just like I did that. But yeah, there's so much that like I could talk about this from like my experience, and like I never planned on like sharing this kind of stuff, but like I do post a lot of Christian content and like I don't care if I get hate or whatever. Like, I know people know me on here, like, hello, yeah. But anyways, yeah, I just wanted to talk about that.
Okay, so if you guys was listening to that, you know, she had a lot to say, and I can, now that I heard her, you know, do her testimony, I can kind of relate, you know, what my ex was going through. And the thing about it, I wish people like her, like my ex, would explain situations like that to their partner so they know what's going on. Because when you're left in the dark, you know, you don't know because, you know, I'm not, you know, trying to say that I'm not religious, but, you know, I'm all for the premarital sex. You know, she mentioned about the test driving or whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna test drive you. But some people ain't like that. So y'all got any takes on that audio y'all just heard?
I applaud her for actually, you know, saying that, yes, she did have premarital sex, but then afterwards it was one of those things where she hadn't done so, and that it really messed with her, because there are people like that. And, you know, it's really to each their own.
Right.
I'm not going to, you know, tell somebody, you know, Jason, I'm not going to look at you and be like, oh my God, you're still a virgin. You need to have sex before you get married. Try it and stuff. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to insist that somebody do that. I applaud them for having that, not only that much respect for themselves and, you know, possibly for the religion or whatever, but also that is a lot of self-control.
Ooh, yeah.
And so I applaud them for that. But, you know, on the flip side of that, I'm not going to look at somebody who has premarital sex and say like, oh my God, you did what? Because it's not to us to judge.
Right.
Yeah. I'm Catholic, and you're not supposed to have premarital sex, but I am of a mind where, for me, if I'm going to be with someone, I want to know that we're going to be compatible in bed, having sex, just because that is part of a relationship. It's an important part of a relationship. So for me, I applaud her, for admitting and I'm sorry that she felt bad about it. And I respect her, how she feels. But for me personally, I'm sorry, I got to have that test drive before I'm going to commit. I want to know.
Right. No, okay. You was mentioning that you was Catholic, so so has any point in time you ever felt bad, or you was like,
No.
Okay.
No, because I know me, and even though I grew up Catholic and I still consider myself Catholic, there are some things in the Catholic religion that I don't agree with.
Right.
So, this is my choice.
Right.
And God has not struck me down. He has not sent a lightning bolt at me. He still loves me. And I feel no guilt for what I have done. This is a choice I have made, and I believe God is okay with me.
Right. Yeah, and listening to her, I think some people don't have like they're not strong-minded like you are, and of course, I didn't show y'all the video, but she's like a younger lady, and so maybe she couldn't deal with it as well as maybe you could, but yeah, for her to talk about being in this mental state and how she felt bad and all this stuff. It was kind of, I kind of felt for her, because when I first saw the video, I'm like, shoot, I need to go through this video and give her a hug.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was definitely deep.
Yeah, and I think how I feel comes with maturity. At her age, I did not feel guilty, but that's me.
Right.
But I have to admit, with age comes maturity, and I know that God loves me, and he's okay with my choices. They are my choices.
Right.
No, I agree. And you could actually, even though we didn't see the video and we just heard the audio, you can hear it all in her voice.
Right. You sure can.
It was pretty much pain for her. You could hear that. That's what I heard. And Jason, I agree. It's one of those things where I would have been like, oh, honey, come here. Let me give you a hug. Were you okay? I too grew up, in the church for the most part, in some ways. Jackie, and Natasha, whatever.
It's not in Italian.
Whatever. I also don't agree with everything in the Catholic Church, and God has not struck me down yet either. So I feel like there are things that he's going to forgive us for.
I agree. All right. So, the perfect timing. All right. So for those of you that are listening to the podcast, thanks for listening. I will see you next week. And just like I always say, God damn. And now the music is not playing. We're having technical difficulties. There we go.